Davon Bennett grew up in one of the roughest neighborhoods of Southside Chicago, Parkway Gardens, also known as O Block, off of 64th, not 63rd. Growing up, his life wasn't bad for what it was. His mother and stepdad did their best to make sure he had what he needed.
How old were you when your parents separated?
My parents weren't never. They went together when I was born. My father was in jail. Then he passed away after not too long after he got out. So my parents weren't really never together.
Homie didn't get to see his pops until he was 6. And when he did, it was the first and last time because a few months after that, his old man got shot and killed. The homie wasn't even trigger happy when he was a kid. He was actually a smart kid, had good grades, and had a sharp mind.
It's easier to go on the block than it is to go to school.
In his own words, Vaughn would say he had to be in a gang. It wasn't something he chose, it was something he had to do, because if he didn't, he would have had a lot of issues to deal with. Cause gang membership in the hood has always meant protection from the threat that the gangs themselves create, because the gangs run the blocks and kids that are unfortunate enough to be born there have to represent. And because if you was a young kid that didn't rep nothing and no one, you automatically became free game. So when Vaughn came of age, he had to join a gang. And when he did, it was the Black Disciples, the O Block set on 64th Street south side of Chicago.
OTF. How did you become a part of that?
I grew into it. Like part of the, hold on, I used to OTF, hold on. Like it's OTF, you know, the record label, and
okay.
It's OTF, like, you know. I've been OTF.
Vaughn had no family structure to keep him sane, to keep him rock steady, to distract him from his bloodlust.
I wish I never grew up in the projects. I wish I wish my mama had some money.
Now, when you layer that kind of trauma on the gang-banging environment he grew up in and his uber-violent tendencies, you get a villain origin story like none other. And that's why he couldn't even remember when he flipped the switch from the smart school kid to the terribly efficient street kid. The man could not even trace his crazy to the jump. He just felt that he had always been that way. It was kill or be killed. And Vaughn was incredibly good at the former until he was not. Vaughn's mugshots got them coming-of-age TikTok transition videos energy. Truth is, and this is for those who was familiar with King Von before the money and the fame, the rapper had spent more time in jail than out of it. On November 21st of 2012, Vaughn was arrested and booked in Cook County Jail for unlawful possession of a firearm.
2012-112-1068.
At this point, he was just beginning to fully embrace the streets. He had dropped out of high school and was beginning to put a lot of work into the Black Disciple, the demon called Vaughn. One of the wildest Von Demon moments has got to be the one from 2014, July 24th. Vaughn and his homie Big Mike were at a party when they crossed paths with an op called Malcolm Stuckey. Now there was no violence in the beginning, but after a minute, Stuckey reportedly started giving Vaughn a look that he wasn't feeling. And so, Vaughn took it as disrespect, left the party with Big Mike, grabbed a pistol, returned to the party, and opened fire on both Stuckey and his homie. Stuckey died on the spot and his homie was severely injured. Now there's a reason why I say this was one of his wildest hits, because so far, this sounds routine. So stay with me, because the next thing that happened was the police cornered both Big Mike and Vaughn. Now this is where things went sideways, because while Vaughn would say nothing to 12, Big Mike gave a statement relaying the whole event to the police. Practically he snitched, and his version of how the murder went down was completely different from what I just told you. It was way more wild. Cause according to the man, he and Vaughn actually chased both men down, with Vaughn shooting Stuckey in the face and Big Mike shooting Stuckey's homie in the leg. They hunted them down like animals. Davon would find himself potentially facing 100 years in prison for murder and 2 attempted murder charges. He would spend the next 3.5 years in jail.
Davon Bennett, 2014, 0608-061. I'm trying to get some off the deck. They're trying to kill me over there. So when they tie me up and rape me, whatever they do for me, then what?
That doesn't happen in protective custody. I just offered you protective custody and you refused it.
I'm saying, I done did so much to people in the world. You gotta check my pads though. Y'all got all that shit on the computer. You got Jeff McGraw.
Sir, that's up to classification to assign you different cells, okay?
Huh? I'm trying to get away from that whole thing. They trying to keep.
I don't make those decisions. Classification does.
Hey, you could have called classification. You charged me. I'm knowing that for a fact. Nah, I gotta get the whole time. I gotta punch somebody, do something. You have to get off of that. This chance to come out of So what, I gotta get Mace to go told or something?
Division 9, for radio,
What I gotta do?
877, America.
Talking to you, Sergeant.
The best way to what?
Smart to
To what?
altercation, get away from that. Come on.
You know the options available to you as a detainee here at the county and Cook in the jail? The options available to you are inmate request forms. You fill those out, they'll be answered accordingly. Okay? If you're having an issue, you fill out the inmate request form, social worker comes, picks them up, and they'll handle it. Okay, that's how you do things. This stuff, ask for PC and refuse a PC, correct. I don't decide where you get housed. Classification does. Classification puts you in that cell on 3E, that's where you stay. You request protective custody, and you refuse protective custody. I'm sorry? Right. Where's the plumber at? In there?
This the only thing I've been on that's got a problem. They supposed to be a Christian there, but they got a problem with gay people. How you gonna be Christian?
So because of your sexual orientation, you're requesting protective custody, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
3 years in the making, Vaughn beat all charges, and the main reason was 'cause Big Mike had realized the error of his ways and chosen not to testify in court. This gesture was necessary to Vaughn's release. It meant nothing to both the streets cause of that initial statement. Big Mike had already broken the code, and to the police, it also meant nothing, 'cause Big Mike ended up getting 28 years for aggravated battery with a firearm, while Vaughn walked free. And you gotta see why Vaughn was called a demon. He didn't slip up once, didn't make an error. The homie was disciplined and kept his head. Because you see, the streets don't forgive, they punish. Vaughn successfully neutralized an op without any trace. I mean, he could sing about his hits. Some even say he self-snitches, but how much of it can you prove? The police couldn't prove nothing, so good luck trying. But while we've been able to explore the demon Vaughn was, there's still one piece left to this puzzle. And it's about the second clip.